Who would predict that a unique invention by Satoshi Nakamoto in 2008 would take the world of internet and finance by storm? A growing list of records, which is linked to cryptography. It serves as a distributed ledger and stands as the first digital currency to solve the double spending problem. Blockchain, which creates a new marketplace. It indeed stands as an incorruptible distributed ledger that enables trusted and transparent business transactions, which reduces frictions in reconciliations also. Bahrain International E-Government Forum 2018, which was held from October 7 to 8 in Ritz-Carlton, saw unheard areas brandished, which indeed left the whole ambience enlightened with the revelation of facts and the advantages it would serve to its users. Stretch the band of knowledge by witnessing their opinions, exclusively on Bahrain Now.
So, you can categorize blockchains into two major things, permission and permissionless. Everybody heard about blockchain when they heard about Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is a permissionless blockchain, which means that anybody can join the network. Anybody can start his own computer, download the application, and join the blockchain network, and start doing transactions without having permission. And this is the actual thing that we called about distributed trust. So no one owns the network. It's owned by everybody. Whoever wants to join the network. So this is a permissionless blockchain. The other thing is permissioned blockchain for enterprises, looking into government entities, for example, or ministries who wants to have only limited access to their blockchain. I don't want everybody to join my network. I need to have a certain authorities like ports or customs. We need to transact some confidential transactions, like banks. If they are doing international remittance, they need a permission blockchain. I need to know who's in and doing what. So the permissionless blockchain, it's only about having everybody being anonymous. Nobody knows who is the person, and it's all about the transactions. The permission blockchain is like, I know who you are, I know what you're doing, and what transaction you are doing in the network. This is kind of a simple English. I try to be. As I said on the panel discussion, having a blockchain, especially the permissioned one, is as safe and hack-proof as you implement them. So permission blockchain depends on something called certificate authorities, like who is issuing the certificates and the login permission to the network. So if you're joining my network, I need to give you permissions. So if this part only hacked, it means that you can join the network at the first place. And changing a record in the network, it requires 51% of the nodes. So for example, if I'm building a blockchain network with, as I said, with 5 nodes only, and somebody's controlling 3 of them, they can change whatever they have in the network. Of course, they need massive processing power to do it, but with smaller blockchain, with like hack permission blockchain, you can do it. You can do it easily if you got the correct credentials to be on the network and control the nodes. Yeah, permission, okay, it's not about being safe or not safe. It's about the use case itself. If you have, for example, if you have critical information you need to keep between certain entities, you're talking about permissioned blockchain. It's not a matter of safety, because it's designed in the same way. Having records encrypted based on the previous record so you cannot change it, this is the main idea about blockchain. Having permission on permissionless, it depends on the user who's joining the network. It's not about the blockchain network, is it safe or not. All blockchains are safe as long as you're implementing it properly. The permissionless blockchain is kind of safe in transaction because you cannot know how many nodes on the network. It could be 10, it could be millions. Anybody can just download the blockchain, join it, and create their own node and make a transactions. So on permission blockchain, you need permission to do so. So it's rather back to the user who's joining the network rather than it's safe or not. So it's not a matter of safety, it's a matter of knowing who's doing what on the network.
So it's interesting that we've only been discussing about the positives and how blockchain has evolved. Now, one aspect I'll tell you, and which is actually the reason why blockchain has evolved into a different level. Blockchain, as we know, came, the first implementation was Bitcoins, and that was all fantastic. But then there was a very clear negative part to that in terms of the fact that there is no governance. There is no way of how you can actually impose certain rules that you would like to in an actual enterprise. So moving over from a cryptocurrency form, which is available to all the public, to an enterprise where you would need to have a lot more governance and have the ability to add in more security, or also have the ability to have people have specific roles, this definitely was a negative in what we saw in blockchain, and that's why it then actually we had the new evolution of blockchain in terms of permission blockchain. So we, from all the negativities from the open blockchain or in terms of permissionless blockchain, you can, and that's the way how it's called for Bitcoin, we actually evolved the permission blockchain where we have standard technologies such as the Hyperledger Fabric, which is supported by the Linux Foundation, where we use the permission blockchain in a very effective way for enterprises, and we got away from the negativities that we had from the permissionless blockchain. There are a lot of other technologies coming up, and is this the perfect technology? Now, a simple example in cryptocurrency or in blockchain is the way how you mine coins. And to mine coins, you're having to use a lot of power from the machines, a lot of processing power. And you're seeing that increasingly it's getting more and more difficult to mine. And for this, you're having to use a huge computing power from different machines. And now these are being used from huge servers. There's a lot of heat produced, a lot of activities happening, more and more IT equipments are required to do mining on Bitcoins, for example. And that's exactly what we're trying to change. So one is in terms of proof of work, for which you have to work a lot, and it's getting tougher and tougher, and it's creating a lot of energy crisis, also in terms of the emissions. And that's been one part of what people have been looking at. But going away from the proof of work and actually getting into a more enterprise level where you actually don't get rewarded because you keep using more compute, but you rather use blockchain to elevate your processes. You use your blockchain to make your processes better, to run your applications better, and then, but still at the same time, get all the advantages of what you get in the actual blockchain technology, and that's the real way of how things are being done. So from the way of getting into a permission blockchain, into enterprises, and the way how Hyperledger technology is being used, I'm seeing there's a lot of disadvantages that we've been seeing in the Bitcoin way of blockchain, and moving away from proof of work to actual specific areas in terms of where we want to focus on, and also more importantly, not work on blockchain as a standalone application, but get that work with your existing applications. So you probably have a lot of applications, supply chain applications, ERP applications, HCM applications, and that's the key to see how you can make blockchain useful in the standard enterprise business that you are already doing.
Well, this is an opportunity for the businesses in Bahrain to actually witness what's happening outside Bahrain. It's a small, tiny island with 760 odd square kilometers, slightly bigger than Singapore. But Singapore has already been called as smart nation, and the economic vision of Bahrain in 2030 is to be smart and connected and intelligent nation. So I believe every ministry, government, and the private sector needs to be aware of the importance of connected society beyond the information-based society. Well, it's, as they say that every democracy is by the people, for the people. In the similar way, the government is for the people, and people means data. And data is something which has its own privacy issues, has its own hacking and secrecy issues, and security issues. So obviously it all translates to the governments becoming more e-savvy or data savvy, which means we lead that to the big data because the numbers are huge. So obviously in a country like Bahrain with 1.3 odd million population, with probably 100 banks, with 700,000 expatriates, the data that they use and churn out is huge. So e-government is the only way to go forward, whether to pay traffic fines or pay your electricity bill. It has to be a portal that takes you to the next level. So a connected society by the government for the people is what is e-government all about. Well, so far, yes, we are on the right track, though we say that Economic Vision 2030 and we are in now 2018, so 12 years to go. But in 12 years, the technology changes so drastically that one has to keep abreast with it. So what contribution is done by the technology sector in Bahrain at the moment is phenomenal, I would say. But at the same time, it is not in sync with what the neighbors are doing, which means what happens in Dubai and the scale that they grow with is not what Bahrain is growing. So that's only the setback. Otherwise, the mind is there, will is there, but there's some missing link still in the government and businesses, which needs to be pump up the game. So we are there. We're getting there soon.